Welcome, everybody, to another exciting and season-ending episode with the Scallywag and Big Kenny. This will be our last episode for this season. We're going to go on hiatus till the end of March and come back roaring with new topics, new discussion, and hope like hell that the world don't end before we get back. So, yeah. So, let's get to it there, Kenny. You tell me, what do you want to go? What's on your mind right now?
My mind is like insurance fraud with these caregiving places.
Yeah.
Like health insurance and all that shit. That shit bothers me, man. I know somebody that was put in, been paying insurance all her life, and they transferred to one of these therapy places, and they telling her insurance don't cover that.
Oh, yeah.
All she didn't put into all that shit. She can't even get the proper service, you know?
Well, see, here's the thing. Insurance is a fucking scam, man. They didn't build all those fucking buildings on Wall Street on the claims they paid. You know that?
Yeah.
That they don't, that shit's all scammy. And to me, and people tell me I'm a socialist. I think the fucking government, because every time the insurance companies have some shit where they can't make a payment, they put the fucking government's the carrier of choice, And give you an example, Katrina, people who got their house rebuilt, they had federal flood insurance and federal hurricane insurance and shit like that. Do you know if go ahead.
Like when the flood, they're saying that their house wasn't destroyed by the flood. This house was destroyed by the wind, so they wasn't cut.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because that's the way insurance works. They look for a fucking loophole, That's the thing, To me, it's one of the most corrupt businesses. The only thing that's close to normal is life insurance and car insurance. And car insurance is a fucking ripoff.
That's a rip.
Yeah, because they always tell you what the value of your car is. Ain't that a bitch?
And you know what?
Go ahead.
They always raise your fucking premium up, even if you're not at fault.
Oh, well, no. Well, you can always fight that shit, but shit, my insurance went up. My homeowner's insurance went up for fucking like $200 or $300 a year. And I asked to say, what the fuck? They said, well, all those storms and shit. So they use that as all the storms in Florida and all the fires and California, all that shit. We've exposed our risks. We got additional risk. Well, and most of it, the government's paying that. It's a FEMA and all the rest of it. Those are the motherfuckers that are making it. Because and let me first say, if some dumb motherfucker keeps building their place over and over at something like people in Texas, fucking people in Texas got they turn in. They have they build their fucking house in a tornado. They have some people in Texas that had 3 tornado strikes on their fucking property. 3, So their house got blown down. Now, I'll give you an example of what you should do for loss prevention and shit like that. Give them some loss prevention so they could do something. Why wouldn't you, if you're in a hurricane place, why wouldn't you build your house below ground? So the hurricane just goes over the top. Said these motherfuckers should be living in molehills so that when the fucking hurricane came out, that garage part of the molehill. We had a place like that in Phoenix. It was the whole place looked like a big giant park, and all the fucking houses were in the dirt. So you just drove up to your house, jumped out of the thing, and went to the front door that was just like like a mound in the dirt. You went up to the dirt, opened the front door. But I tell you one fucking thing, you didn't want to be no firefighter in that motherfucker because it was hot as hell because it was very well insulated. But I think it was an experimental project. They did like 200 or 300 of these houses and everybody was underground. But see, that's the way you should be thinking. You know, I wouldn't, if my house, if I've been living in my house for 30 something years, if that motherfucker, the wind blown it down or the rain tore it down 3 times, that should be the end of it. Pay me my money and let me move on, you know?
Yeah.
Because there's no reason. Everybody's sitting there, and after they finish, oh yeah, we're going to rebuild. Well, who are you rebuilding with? You're rebuilding with our money. Okay. Your insurance you ain't pumped up enough money to pay for all that shit, that risk.
So you tell me, how are they getting away with this bullshit? How can we put a stop to it?
Well, here's the way you put a stop to it. Just federalize the insurance. Say, okay, well, since you motherfuckers here's the first thing. You know what's a good indication of private industry unable to do something? It's when they go to the government with their hand out. Okay. Oh, we've had all these losses. And then they'll be the first to talk to you about socialization. If the government tells them what to do, then they say it's socialization. But if they want their industry saved, they're coming up, oh, well, you gotta help us. It's kind of like the 60 Minutes did a thing. This is off the cuff It's going to be a sidekick, but let me explain some. I'll explain it, and it'll come to path in your mind. I mean, you'll get the inference here. But Taiwan is a country that used to be a part of the big Chinese empire. In World War II, it became a separate country. Okay. I'm not going to get into the history because it's long. But anyway, they create microchips, okay? They create the highest speed microchips are built in Taiwan. So
that's why they're defending their ass. Huh?
That's why they're defending it, because they don't want those fucking microchips to fall into the hands of China, okay? Because now we invented microchips, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so all of the companies, but it was so much cheaper to build them in Taiwan. So what they did was outsource all of their shit, all of their business. Intel and AMD and all these companies offshored all their shit. We can get cheaper labor. But here's the thing. In the final analysis, who did it hurt? Now you've heard, I've been sitting here touting President Biden CHIPS and Science Act, where they made them build now infrastructure in the United States because they found out during the pandemic that all that shit, there's a supply chain problem. Okay. If China goes over there and takes over Taiwan, you think, the way to cripple us is not to send us any more chips. And we'll be so far behind, we wouldn't be able to get fucking fabrication plants up and running. And while China's going to go there, take over, and they'll be so far ahead of us, we won't be able to put our high-tech machinery, our jet fighters and all this other shit, we'll be behind all the time. So, and we'll be like 5 or 6 years behind because. So
why are they gonna start no shit over here? The building stuff instead of us.
Well, that's what CHIPS and Science Act did. Made sure that they gave Intel. Now check this out. Now, anytime business, remember I told you, anytime business says that you tell them what to do, it's socialism. But when you're giving money to them, so they gave them free money to build fabrication plants here, so they say, okay, you got to build these plants. And the lady there was 60 Minutes was saying, went to the president of Intel and said, well, you guys had money to build your own chip factories. He said, you offshored the chip factories, and when you had extra money, you went and bought back your stock. So they elevated the raise of the price of their stock, stock manipulation, and they didn't pay for any infrastructure. Now that they're getting free infrastructure from the government, you see, that's how insurance and all this stuff works. All of them want, if you can't, insurance won't insure your house if your house is in like New Orleans or on Hurricane Alley, you buy special insurance from the government. So what they do is socialize. They socialize they privatize the profits and they socialize the risks. Okay, so what they want to do is they get all their profits, so they take the easy risks, okay, like homeowners insurance, where, like in my neighborhood, I've used homeowners insurance in 30 years 4 times, okay? And the biggest claim they ever had was like a $20,000 roof claim. Other than that, it wasn't even $11,000 roof claim. So that's the biggest thing. And I've been paying them over 30 years. So are they making a profit? Even though they had to pay those claims, they still made a profit off of me, right?
Uh-huh.
And every time they pay a claim, they feel you're stealing from them because they think that it's free money. That's all free money, But don't let me get into all the other bullshit that they used to do. Like there's some insurance companies that they had in Chicago and stuff that were selling insurance to black people, and then every time they had a policy claim on the policy, oh no, you're disqualified from that. They find some reason. So all they were doing was taking your money and not paying anything. So that's the purest example of insurance. That's how it works. The only thing that insurance companies ever did that was correct, that helped society was, you ever heard of a thing called Fireman's Fund?
I heard of it, but I don't really know what it is.
Well, I'll give you a quick history. Long time ago in New York, they had fire brigades, and the insurance companies would pay the fire brigades if they went out to, and they were kind of like private clubs, okay? They were private clubs, and they would go out, the guys would get together, and they would go out and if a fire came up, they'd get up there, and the insurance companies would pay them. So they would have this tag. The insurance company put a tag on the building, and it was called Fireman's Fund. So they put it on the front of the building, so they knew when that building was on fire that the firefighting clubs would know that, hey, they're going to get paid. Because, if we fight this fire, the person who get it, and they and the history is that they would have fights out in the middle of the building to see who would get to fight the fire because they wanted the money from the Fireman's Fund. The insurance. That's just an example. But anyway, as I said, insurance always trying not to pay people. It's a profitable business. And I'll tell you one thing. When I was on the fire department in Los Angeles years ago, I was in an academy class, and the guy was talking about, said, they were saying, oh, we're running out of money and going to have to raise property tax. And I said, well, fuck, all those buildings downtown, they must be paying. Do you know that insurance companies don't pay property tax?
Why?
Just because they're public trusts. Yeah. So what scheme is that? Don't pay property taxes, own buildings, and don't have to pay most of your claims. Isn't that a fucking scam?
Yep.
Okay, so now you understand how insurance works there, Kenny. It's not designed to help you. It's designed as a profit-making thing. You are, to them, all you are is a crop that they keep planting year after year. And then they use these excuses as to, and nobody likes them. Do you like your insurance company?
No, but what's funny? How they could get away with it, because majority of the fucking people that's in the government is invested in that shit.
Oh, of course. Do you think that they're not going, that these motherfuckers are not going to make money. They're making money. Do you think the first rule of business is to pay off government to make sure they exist? Okay. Now I'll tell you another thing. You know what the highway patrol is, right? Like the highway patrol, the what do they call it? The state police, right?
Yeah.
Do you know what the first state police was designed for?
What?
They were designed to put down strikes.
Put down what?
Strikes from workers. Okay. Oh. The fucking businesses were tired of paying like the Pinkertons and all the rest of these private security firms. So they said, well, hey, we're paying taxes in this state. Why don't you guys get these, have your own state police force, and you can take care of our interests. So that was the design of state police. The first state police was designed for to put down strikers. It wasn't designed for your benefit. It wasn't designed to have state police. It was a extortion or a protection racket. So they created that to control the populace. See? A lot of people don't know this. Same thing about the, each thing has a origin in corruption, okay? If you didn't know it, it is. Everything that we have and do is pretty much an origin in corruption. There's a dark thing to it. Business has a dark side to it. But anyway, as you were saying, now see, if we had like universal health care, your friend wouldn't have that problem, because in other countries and other civilized countries, they have a system where people are taken care of. Okay. From the moment you're born, you have your medical is paid, and the cost is 1/4 of what we pay, and we get less. Okay. You can pay more, but you can't, and you can get better service in other countries. So that's what I'm saying. So it's what do you think is the most economic way to run an entity or something like a military or or even, let's say, a police department or a state? It's through government, because government's not making a profit. There's no profit, right? All they're doing is funneling the resources of the people to pay for things, right? And the businesses forever trying to tell you in every entity. Have you ever seen those what they're called charter schools that they have all springing up all around the country?
Oh, that's all about money.
Yeah. Well, what they're doing, they're stealing money from the public schools, and they're teaching people shit that they don't need to know.
And the first, it happened to my high school. They after Katrina, they took Alfred Lawler Senior High.
Yeah.
It took them a couple of years to rebuild it, and when they rebuilt it, they named it Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
They turned it into a charter school.
Yeah. And I've known too many people that had children go to these fucking charter schools, and they're dumb as a fucking box of rocks. See, so tell me why, since the school systems have been almost 100 years, my high school got movies of the first class. My high school was 100 years old, and 1970 something was 100 years old. When I was there in 1974, it was 100 years old. Okay, so they've been having public school for more than 100. Well, you add now from that time to this time, that's 140 fucking years. They've been teaching people with public school money, but now it doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? You know why? Because business have found a profit motive on it. Okay, they have found a way to turn it into a profit entity. Okay, And then the end result is you get a less educated populace, which is really business, businesses, that's what they want. They want a less educated populace. They don't want you to be able to ask questions that challenge you. They don't want you to have any idea of, of how civics works and how government is supposed to work. They tell you what they feel. They'll tell you, oh, well, the government, the United States government is founded on Christian beliefs. And that's, as I have stated in past podcasts, that's full of bullshit. Doesn't have nothing to do with any Christians. But the situation is that if business puts their corrupt fucking hand in it, we had a fire department in Phoenix or in Arizona, and it was called Rural Metro, and you paid a subscription. Now, you come up to me, you tell me, is this not extortion? Okay, you paid a subscription because you were out in the boonies, and for some strange reason, there's no county fire departments in Arizona. Like Los Angeles has Los Angeles County, and Orange County has Orange County Fire Department. So they have fire forces all over the place. But in Arizona, that doesn't exist. They have city fire departments and that have just a little thimble full of fucking state fire departments. Okay. So the final analysis is that if you're out in the boonies, out of a city, you're not in a city and you're too far, then they have a private fucking thing, and they'll have one station and two guys. That'll help you out. But we used to always joke about how they get there. They said, how did they get 4 guys and 5 fire trucks at a fucking fire? They had 5 fucking fire trucks and 4 guys. But they didn't have the manpower. So who do you think was getting the better service when you were like in the cities like Glendale or Peoria or Scottsdale was one of them, was the biggest contractor to this rural metro years ago. Now they're a private city, not a city, a public fire department, but they didn't have any fires. I mean, the other cities can bring 4 men on one truck, okay? And then they had multiple stations. They had a mutual aid agreement with other fire departments. So if the fire got really big, they brought in other fire departments. So, and they're not there to make a profit. But what Rural Metro did, if you didn't pay your subscription, they pull up there and they say, well, okay, they seek the owner out and they say, well, if you didn't pay your subscription, now it's going to cost you so much an hour to fucking fight this fire, and you're going to have to agree to pay it. Is that not extortion?
Who you telling, man?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Everything has some the footprint and corruption. For even the fire service that I had belonged to has its footprint and corruption.
Why do they get away? How they get away with this shit? They got more of us than them.
Okay, because so we hire people, and they get in there, and they always feather their own nests. So what you want like. I think I've told you that you got to hire people that's at least going to work a modicum to your benefit. They say, hey, what am I going to do for you? It's all right to be a little selfish when you're hiring some motherfucker in the mayor's office. He's going to tell you, okay, what is he going to do? I'm going to put out street lights. I'm going to make sure the trash get picked up 2 times a week. That's not hurting anybody. That's helping you. I'm going to put up libraries. I'm going to make parks. I'm going to do this. I'm going to make sure that we have a fire department. I'm going to make sure we have police officers who are accountable to the people. Those things are what you're looking for, not the people that comes in here like that. There was a fucking guy in charter schools in Arizona. He was in the state Senate, and believe it or not, he gets elected to the state Senate. Now they have these vouchers around for not for poor people. You don't get no voucher. Poor motherfucker ain't getting a voucher. But for people who were going to send their kids to private school, they got a voucher for half the cost. So they're stealing money from the public school because it's coming out of the public schools fund. They're stealing money out of that public school fund and putting it into private schools. But your ass, if you a broke motherfucker, you can't afford the private school either. He said the voucher doesn't pay the whole thing. It's only for the people who are upper middle class that was going to send their kids to private school. Okay? So it's benefiting the rich. It's benefiting the upper middle class, but it's not helping the other people. See, education used to be the great equalizer. So you go to school. Everybody, if you're in a small town, they only have one fucking high school, right? We all went to the same high school. Didn't have a private high school there. But if you were black, they didn't even have a school for you. You had to make your own school. But for white people, they had a public school, so they all could go to it. You know, so that was the thing that was is the great equalizer. Now these poor motherfuckers are going to, they're taking their money out of the public school because, see, here's what I like about them. They got theirs. They probably went to public school, probably went to a public university, and now it's not good enough for their kids. It's not good enough for that, for their progenies. It's good enough for, it was good enough for them. It gave them an education. It gave them a career. It gave them money in their pocket. But now, oh no, we got to pull up that drawbridge so nobody else gets in the castle and gets to eat good. So there you go. But that's what I'm talking about. Insurance and, in a big spectrum, it's a scam, and I believe that if you had just state, like I was in Costa Rica, and I think I've told you this story. I had a car in Costa Rica, and I went and had that motherfucker insured, and I said okay, and I'm thinking okay, it's going to cost me maybe $50 a month to get because it's not that much money, your money goes a lot farther in Costa Rica. So I got my car insured, and they said, okay, here's what it costs for a year. And it was $150. And everybody, it's compulsory coverage. If you got, and the government does the coverage, okay? You can buy extra if you want. You can buy something like a replacement cost insurance, but everybody has the same insurance. So if somebody hits your ass on the street, you get, you show them your insurance, and that's it. Everybody's got insurance, and that's it. So, and the government runs the insurance. So why is theirs so cheap and ours are so high? Because it's not run by the government. And then they also have socialized medicine. Now, it's not the greatest thing in the world, but they do. Everybody has health insurance. The poor motherfucking beggar on the corner to the man who works in the high rise. All of them got insurance. Okay? In this country, we have got to the rate now that there's 7% of America, 7.7% of all Americans are uninsured. Okay? And all this money we fuck around with and give away to the chip companies and all this other, we could pay for our own people because we devaluate people. They don't give a fuck. All that they care about is how business is running. You ever seen those commercials on television where they always say, your business, your business, your business? They're not talking to a person. They're not talking to you and me, unless you've got some Fortune 500 business. Why do you give a fuck about somebody? American Express business counselors and stuff like that. You've got your own business. You ever had American Express come to you and talk to you about how to run your business there, Kenny?
No.
Yeah. So you got an American Express card, a black card that you can buy anything you want on. You got one of them? Huh?
Yeah.
You got. Okay, you don't have one. Okay, so why the fuck do you? That's mostly what you see on commercials. Oh, we'll do this. Our business is making your business BSFA or whatever. What we don't make the stuff, but we make shit better. Why do I give a fuck? I don't give a fuck. It's not had nothing to do with me. I'm not fucking building nothing. I'm a man that's sitting up here paying my mortgage, paying my insurance, and and I started thinking about it the other day, and I'm glad you brought that topic up. I said the amount of insurance I pay like $5,000 a year or $6,000 a year on insurance only. In anticipation for something that may not ever happen. My cars may not get hit. My house may not catch on fire, but I'm paying $5,000 or $6,000 a year, making sure that shit ain't going to happen to me.
How come you can't get like a reward saying, since you've been a safe driver, let me give you half of it back?
Oh, they already get that. That's baked in the cake there, Benny. Kenny, that's baked in the fucking cake, brother. They already get you there. I already got low rates. Shoot, I talked to some of my friends. I have 4 cars insured, and I'm paying what some people pay for one. So I can't complain, but I still think I'm paying too fucking much.
Yeah.
So, and they're old cars, because you know what the insurance company going to do when one of those motherfuckers get in a wreck. You know what they're going to do. They're going to total that motherfucker. Say, hey, if I've got a car that's 20-something years old, I go and get a wreck, and they're going to say, oh, well, it's nice that you had that insurance with us, but we are looking at Kelly Blue Book, and it's going to tell me what the value of your car is, and that's the end of that story. So might pay me $2,000 or $3,000, and I'm paying, $5,000 a year for fucking insurance. So it's only the newer cars that are going to benefit from it. Okay. Mm-hmm. So they're not going to make me whole again. The only insurance that really makes you whole is the insurance on your house, because they have to build one that's just like the other one. If you're smart enough, you don't buy insurance that's going to depreciate your house, because what? Does your house ever depreciate, Kenny? You ever see anybody's house depreciate? They usually go up in value, right?
Yeah.
So you got to buy insurance that follows suit. So what they do is they give you the construction value of how much it would cost to build based on the area, how to rebuild your house, and to build it like you had it before. See, I don't have a stick and styrofoam house like a lot of people have. I have a block house. They poured block in that motherfucker, and they put styrofoam in the walls. So it was R30 in the walls and R40 in the ceiling. In Arizona, it's like a refrigerator. So anyway, long story short, they have to replace that house exactly the way it was. And I can't put me a styrofoam box up with stucco and some styrofoam sheep in there and some 2x4s. And that's how most of these houses around me are made, And so, and they give them the same value. If you look in one of those Zillows, them fuckers don't give you no more for what your house is worth, because, it's kind of like the 3 Little Pigs, sticks and, stones and bricks, whatever it is that was in the 3, was it sticks? Straw. And the sticks and bricks and the huff and the puff, and where the fucker couldn't blow down the brick house. Anyway, okay, so, but that's what it is. Insurance is a ripoff. I know that. I know friends who've worked in insurance, and the first thing come out of their mouth is insurance is a ripoff. And what can we do about it? Well, we can try to socialize insurance, to say, well, if we're paying out of our taxes, what FEMA's getting paid for by us, by the taxpayers all the time. Any fucking hurricane. And then they give you, what is it? I think it was saying, like, when you buy that FEMA insurance or earthquake insurance, where the insurance companies don't want to do earthquake, tornadoes and all of a sudden you got to buy extra shit, flood insurance, all that shit. The insurance company want nothing but the filet mignon. They don't want the chicken feet, the pig feet. They don't want that shit. They want nothing but the filet mignon, the best steak. They want the best thing that's paying for. So when you get that kind of insurance, man, that's what the insurance company, they set up the system. So they put the government in charge of all the risks, It's just like they won't insure a nuclear generating plant. That's all government insured. So if there's a meltdown and some people have to be compensated, they put the risk on us. So they socialize the profits. No, they privatize the profit and they socialize the risk. So we're the risk carriers. But anyway, but if you had socialized medicine, they would be able to put in there, and they've been trying to do that for years, trying to get like Medicare and Medicaid to have care facilities put in there, because if you had that, the plan would cover people in that have towards the end of life. Somebody shouldn't. Here's how end of life care works. There, you go into a care facility, and then what they do is they take everything you have, your home, and everything that you've worked for all your life. These parasites take everything that you have. So any amount of money in a bank account, so they're going to lean up everything. So when you're an old person and you're at the end of your rope, then they take the rest of your shit. It's a great vicious cycle that they've created. You get old and you go into a nursing home, and then they charge you for a room like the size of one of my bedrooms. They charge you $4,000 a month for that until they clean out your bank account, and then the federal government comes in and pays some of it, and then they take everything else you have after that. So when your children come up there, Grandma, what do you have left for me? Nothing. They didn't take it all. So that's how the scam works, my man. So anyway, let's go on with something else here. Hey, Israel said they're going to attack Rafah, and we want to know why, because they told all the people in Rafah, hey, you're safe there. I want you to go there. And now they say they're going to go into Rafah to clean out the last part of Hamas. What's your take?
They're sad, bro. They tell them to go there, and then they're going to wipe them out, and the government ain't going to. That's just sad, bro.
Yeah, well, hey, I was thinking about this. I told you I wanted to do black towns and stuff. And there was so many there, Kenny. I couldn't keep up with it. There's going to be in the hundreds. You're going to have to start a series. What happened in this town? Because it's in the hundreds, So but I started thinking about that, and when I thought about this Rafah stuff, and I believe that I have a belief that if you ain't white in the world, okay, or you're on the side of the white people, you have no value, okay. So and these so-called governments who are supposed to administer justice and make, it's just like what's going on there now. Everybody knows, everybody that has common sense. See, they want you to blow into, it's kind of like a Trump supporter. They want you to buy in to like a Trump supporter bullshit. Israel's just protecting themselves. How the fuck do you protect yourself from fucking unarmed civilian by dropping bombs on them? Is that protection? That's not protection. That's fucking genocide. But I digress. But I started thinking about that, and you tell me if I'm off track there, Kenny. But I started thinking about the way the people are looking at the people in the Palestinians. What's going on there, Kenny? You hiccuping? You're not having a seizure on me, are you?
I don't know what that is.
Oh, that's probably. Oh, I don't know what the fuck it was. It seemed like I was hitting the mic, but I'm right in front of the mic and I'm not touching it, so I don't know what the fuck that is. Okay. Anyway, what what I was thinking about, I said, is that um, my mind started wondering, and you can tell me if I'm crazy, but I started thinking about, is the people of Israel, they come back to Israel and they say, oh, we got what's their little motto? A land without a people for a people without land. Okay, that's kind of like the little blurb that they put out, that they said nobody was living there. Of course, the Palestinians been living out there for 100 years, and of course they'll tell you no, there was no such thing as Palestinian, but these people have been living there for hundreds of years. But I started thinking about it, and it started coming to me. It started gelling in my mind, and I thought, I understand our affinity, a black person's affinity for the Palestinians. And, when I just say that, you probably don't get the corollary. But when I started looking into these black towns that were raised and destroyed by whites after the Civil War, I started thinking, yeah, that's it. Each one of these little towns that happened, it was a genocide. Okay? They came in there and they did the same operation as Israel is doing in Palestine. They came in there, they took their land after they killed them with some fucking bullshit story of some affront that happened. Now, we'll start with this place called Springfield, the Great Springfield Massacre of August 14th, 1904. Okay? Now, they called it a massacre, but when it was in the papers, they called it a riot. So your clue, Kenny, is anytime a white guy tells you it's a riot, it's a massacre, or it is a incident that was perpetuated by a police officer acting beyond his authority, killing some innocent person. Okay? Watts riot started by the police officer killing a man because he was taking his wife to have a baby, and his name was Dockweiler, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was Dockweiler. But I was a kid when the first riots in Los Angeles happened, and I never will forget. I was at South Park, and there was a guy in a convertible, a white guy in a convertible, but he was laying there bleeding, and he had a knife stuck in his head. And ever since then, Kenny, never wanted to have a convertible. I said, I don't want no fucking convertible. I want some metal between me and some motherfucker. Anyway, but let's go back to this Springfield massacre. Now, this is in Springfield. There's hundreds of Springfield, but this was in Springfield, Illinois. And the reason why I started with this, Kenny, because this is an educational thing, because it was replicated over and over again. White people would call that Springfielding a person. So I'm going to read a little bit of the article. The Springfield Massacre, traditionally called the Springfield Race Riots of 1908, was committed against African Americans by a mob of 5,000 white people in Springfield, Illinois, between August 14th and August 16th of 1908. African Americans were killed in their homes and businesses were burned to the ground. Okay, some of Springfield's blacks fought back in self-defense. They were shot back, and when fired upon, the first victims of the lynch mob, Scott Barton, used his shotgun in an attempt to save his life and home. Okay, see, you know what they say, you always got to have that Second Amendment, except if you're black. No Second Amendment for you, brother. The second victim, Lynch, was an 84-year-old cobbler named William Duncan, whose reputation had been tainted in the eyes of the mob by the fact that he was married to a white woman for over 30 years. Okay.
Over 30 years.
Yeah, he was married, and this is so he had been married her after the Civil War. So when the carnage finally ended, 6 black people, and whenever they tell you the number, it's always more than what they say. So the carnage ended when 6 black people were shot and killed, 2 were lynched, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of property was destroyed. About 2,000 black people were driven out of the city of Springfield as a result of the riot. Now, this was the precipitating event that created the NAACP. Okay? They see, black people know when there's some shit coming down, so they said, well, we better get an organization so we can get some voices up here. So they created that, the NAACP, So anyway, so this was replicated over and over again. So what they don't tell you in this, Springfield riot stands as the prototype of many smaller riots that left communities all white between 1890 and 1940. Most of which have never been written about by historians. Indeed, the Springfield riot itself spawned a host of imitators. Whites shouted, "Give 'em Springfield," which was to give them the Springfield treatment. Throw their ass out and take their property and then create an all-white town, which was given rise to what, Kenny? What do you think they gave rise to? The sundown town.
How would they call it, the sundown town?
Yeah, they said, well, no blacks allowed. And, when you were a kid, do you remember what your mother used to tell you when you were out playing? They would say, don't let the sun hit your ass. Remember, said, don't let the street lights come on and hit your ass. And I thought about that. I thought about that while I was studying this. I said, they were replicating and telling us about some of the towns that they drove through. Okay, don't you be out on the street in the middle of when the sundown hits you, because bad things happen to black people when the sun down. So anyway, so that was so they replicated this over and over again. So this was how they would steal property from affluent blacks and keep them from having any what they call generational wealth. Okay, that was the first part. I mean, they had done this in Wilmington. Let me get this. Wilmington, North Carolina, I think it is. Let me get the. Okay, hold on. I got all these pages of shit up on my damn thing. Okay. Well, I don't see the one in Wilmington. But anyway, in Wilmington, here's one, race riot in Arkansas. There was one in Texas. There was one, there was the big, remember the Red Summer, which textbooks seem to forget. Okay, this was like, for some strange reason, it started going across the country in the lower 19 and 1800. I mean, the 1900s, the first beginning of the 20th century. That these white mobs would go on and just rampage black. But you see, it goes back to what I was telling you about. Why do you think they did that, Kenny? Why do you think they were doing that over and over again?
Because nobody stood up to them, for one.
Okay.
When they probably have the weapons to fight back or none of that shit. And the more and more we talk about this shit, bro, I get pissed off.
hey, it's good. You should get pissed off because that's what you should do, and people should understand it. What people when somebody sees an angry black person, they think, oh, well, he's just angry because he's this. He doesn't have anything, but it's a compounding history. It's the Coke bottle effect. You've been fucking me so long that when the wind hits my ass, it starts to blow. But here's what I'm saying. It said, they said white rage, black self-defense. Now, there was a whole bunch of places that fought back. Okay. So don't think that we was fucking pushovers. There was a whole bunch of white people that got killed too in this, who thought they was going to have an easy fucking prey. Oh, no. But there was more of them than there is of us. Okay. So, but that was the in the 1900s, the lower 1900s was it went all over. It was in Chicago. It was in Kansas City. It was all around. They had all of these things. But hey, we didn't suffer alone. They did that to the Chinese too. So they fucked over the Chinese too. Took away their towns too. Any minority, they fucked over them. So, and then just think, I'm not going to go too deep in this, but I have said this before in our podcast about the Treaty of Hidalgo, and it was the treaty. Remember, I told you that it was when Texas fought to secede from Mexico because they wanted freedom. Well, freedom to have slaves because Mexico had abolished slavery. So what Mexican had a treaty at the end of the war, and they said, well, all of our people that are living in Texas, all the Mexicans are living in the Treaty of Hidalgo, guaranteed their fucking property and land rights and that they would be citizens of the United States, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, do you believe that those fuckers wouldn't keep their treaty? Huh? Now, you remember that? You remember Walker, Texas Ranger? That show? Yeah. Well, there's a fucking thing that really shows the disgrace of the Texas Rangers because they had a unit in Texas Rangers that went to Mexican towns and would take the men and children out and slaughter their ass so they could take their property. So, see, you think I'm making this shit up, don't you, Chinny?
Hell no.
Well, shit. So that's what I'm saying. Don't think that American history, and everybody wants to, I know it's always strange that I have white friends and they tell me, one of my white friends would tell me, hey, you ain't got it. You've got it so good here. I said, who the fuck are you to tell me how I got it? Who the fuck are you to tell me what my story is? That's why I finally had to tell him, I said, hey, who the fuck are you to tell me my story? You weren't me. You wasn't standing in my fucking shoes. You've never been in your own fucking neighborhood and people tell you don't belong in your own fucking neighborhood that you've been living in for 30 years? Huh?
Crazy, huh?
I was fucking parked in my own neighborhood, sitting there talking on the phone, looking for a fucking telephone number. Some old lady came up to knock on my windshield, and I rolled down the window and I say, yes, ma'am, what can I do for you? She says, you don't belong here. I'm parked on the street. On the side of her house. Her house, they haven't even got a window that's looking at my house. She came out of her house, and she wasn't afraid of me because she had her little grandchild with her. She was teaching racism 101, but she says, no, you don't belong here. And I said, I just rolled up the window. I said, ma'am, I'm talking on the phone. I just rolled up the window, and I went off. So I kept going over there, and she walks all around the block to get my license plate. And then she goes right on the side of my car. She's across the street, and she said, and she tries to say, You don't belong here. Well, when I left the fire department, they gave me a badge, the retirement badge. So I knew this lady couldn't see it from, she couldn't read the little inscriptions on the badge from across the street. So I rolled down the window and I flopped out the badge. And you know how quickly she changed. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know. Because she had came out there and told me to move along because I didn't belong there. And I said, now, ma'am, move along. So that was the end of that shit.
You probably shit on herself, huh?
Yeah, she probably went in there and called the police and told them, well, that's all right. Don't come back. Don't come out here. Don't come fucking out here because I was mistaken. Okay, now let's go. Let's talk about Trump sneakers. What do you think?
He's going to make his money back from that lawsuit he lost.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. He's up to $500 million. You think that's going to stop him the shit to fuck up? Nah.
Nope.
So he's got. You seen those sneakers? $400 sneakers.
Yeah, I was looking at them just now.
And some motherfucker is probably going to probably walk down the street with that and then going to accidentally walk into the wrong neighborhood, and somebody's probably going to come up and put some KY on that sneaker and shove it up his ass. You just go to the wrong place. Anyway, on that same day that he was out there doing the fucking hawking his fucking sneakers, they came out and told him that he had a fine for $355 million for fraud. But he's not finished. He's at $81 million. His kids got some fucking fines. And these fucking people started a GoFundMe for him to pay his legal fees. Now, that's going to be the true test of loyalty. You think he could pull in enough money on a GoFundMe to pay all? I don't believe it. I don't.
Of them, because I don't think GoFundMe can handle all that money that he's about to get.
Oh, well, that's going to be something interesting. GoFundMe. So we will see, but I don't believe that he may get like $25-30 million off of it, but that's like pissing in the sea, Kenny. That's like pissing in the sea. You don't make no difference to the tide. He's going to have to come up with that money. So I know he's going to try to do it in court, but I like the unique way that New York does it. They said, okay, if you go to appeal it, you got to put that money up for a bond. So they don't want your ass socketing the money away or sneaking it outside the country. They want you to put it up as a bond. So you want to appeal it? Go ahead, appeal it. But you got to put up a bond for $81 million. He's going to have to do $81 million bond for Eugene Carroll. And if he's going to appeal this $355 million lawsuit, he's going to put up a bond or the money. Now, the money will be growing interest. That's fine. But he's still going to have to, put that shit up. So anyway, that's his story. That's what he is. So you think that I'll bet you that he won't get $100 million from those rubes.
You don't think so?
Oh, no. No. Because he keeps squeezing them, Hey, and maybe, what did they say? Was it Langston Hughes said about the disease of being white, the toxicity of being white? Maybe so. Because, what? In my final analysis here, Kenny, I'm going to say this. White people don't want other white people to be held accountable for their shit. See, that's the theme for this whole thing. Remember I said, if you condone the shit, you own the shit. See, they keep condoning his shit. See, every time he does something wrong, I said, if Trump was black, they'd have his ass somewhere you wouldn't even be able to see him. You wouldn't be able to get a fucking pass to see him. You couldn't go to the jail to see him because he'd be so far under the fucking jail they couldn't find him. But since he's the like what was the old comic book, Richie Rich, the poor little rich boy? Well, he's the
Yeah.
poor little rich man that the whole world is against. Why is it the whole world is against one white man when we know laws didn't work against the laws work in your favor all the time? But huh?
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm listening.
Because why is it like that, Kenny? Why is everywhere else in the continental United States is the white man gets to skate on all of his offenses, but poor old Donald Trump is not able to skate on his offenses. Why is that? Because he did do it. And the people who support him want there to be no recourse against a white person.
Crazy, bro.
It's like some people believe that, there's always, they believe that there's some special protected race of people that nothing can happen to them. They're not, everything they should do, you should look at it in their sphere of under the way they see the world. If you're a poor white boy that accidentally killed a black, well, you don't know the pressures he was under. Well, what about the pressures of the poor guy that he killed?
Yeah.
What about, just like that fucking kid who went to those riots and shot those people, and then they let him off. And the judge was bending over, almost sucking his dick at the fucking trial, giving him all the leniency. And you know why? Because they see themselves in it instead of seeing justice. Saying, What about the poor people that he killed? He's 17 years old, walking down the streets of a city in a place where he didn't even live, with a shotgun. I mean, with a AR-15 and shooting people. He doesn't even have the mental aptitude to be responsible for the weapon he's carrying. But no, he was being attacked. And then he cries like a little bitch on the stand, and they let his ass go.
He wasn't crying.
He wasn't crying when he was shooting those motherfuckers. He wasn't crying when he pointed that military weapon and took somebody's life. Kyle Rittenhouse, that's that motherfucker. But I believe that that's it. They don't want nobody to be held accountable. See, and every one of these incidents where they called it a riot, they were white people doing shit wrong. And because they got away with it over and over again, they thought, hey, that's what we could get away with. You condoned it. And we had to own your shit. We had to live under your terrorist regime. It's just like when they told them back in the 1900s, the NAACP tried to get a fucking law against lynching. And one of the congressmen said, well, how are we going to control the blacks if we don't have a law against lynching? Well, what the fuck?
I'll punch that bitch in his eye.
How do you control your people? You prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law. If they did something wrong, you do that. You don't lynch them. See, they always talk about terrorists, but if you go to the history of America, who are the terrorists?
The white man.
That's right. They're and hey, for the people listening to this, we ain't anti-white. Some of my best friends are white. I'm going to tell you the same shit that you would tell me. But no, I have friends, white friends, that have done some great things for me. I mean, just really good things. I mean, best friends. Okay. So I'm not against white people. I'm against people who think they're better than anybody else. I'm against white people who have the audacity to have been living in my neighborhood for 5 years and then come to me after I've been living there for 30 years and tell me I don't belong. When your ass wasn't even a thought when I broke ground in my property, you know? Because you see, in your mind, I can't own nothing. I can't be nothing, you know? That's your disease, not my disease. One of my friends asked me, so, well, why do you think white people are evil and they destroyed these towns and stuff and the black people? I said, yeah. And he said, well, why do you think that is? I said, how can I get in the mind of a racist? I don't have your affliction. I don't have the problem that you live with. I said,
you told Scott,
yeah, I said, how can
I can't live in the mind of a race. How can I live in the
Yeah, I got to live with him. See, that would never enter my mind to go over to my neighbor's house and burn down his shit and take him and shoot him and take his land. It never enters my fucking mind, okay? But it enters theirs. So they Springfield these black people all over America. They Springfield the Chinese people, and they Springfield the Mexican people, okay? So don't tell me you're fighting against terrorists. Well, you know, when they say when a man is fighting against himself, he'll never win. Because that's what they're fighting against. You know what they say? He said they're against terrorists because they don't like the competition. You know, and with that, Kenny, we're going to call this an end to our little journey here. And we're going to hope that in the months that we take off, it's been a fun season.
How many episodes this is?
That's number 20, baby. Number 20. I had like 7 without you. So we're going to take this back up at the end of March or the first part of April, probably at tax time, so we can complain about taxes. Some shit like that. But we would hope by the time we get back in the next month, I give up hope, but hope is fleeting, that they have found a way to find peace in Israel, well, not Israel, in Palestine, because Israel's not the one that's being occupied and destroyed. So anyway, I'm going to let you pay us out there, Kenny.
The world is spinning out of control, a never-ending cycle of blood and soul. Families torn apart, children left alone, as they march to the battlefield with hearts and stone. Why are they killing everyone? Is it worth the damage done? Our tears fall like the rain as we watch them die in vain. Bombs exploding, bullets flying all around us. There's no denying the horror of war. The price we pay for our leaders, greed, day after day. Why are they killing everyone? Is it worth the damage done? Our tears fall like the rain as we watch them die in vain.
Hey, Scallywag out, and the date on this one is February 19th, 2024.